Hey, how's it going everyone? Tazen here, today bringing some more awesome and very exciting Final Fantasy VII Remake news because after Sony's second State of Play conference, they revealed a new teaser trailer for Final Fantasy VII Remake, and within this trailer we have gotten a lot of new information. When you pause it, slow it down, there are a lot of tidbits and a lot of details in it. So we're going to do a detailed breakdown of the trailer, go through story, gameplay, redesigns, voice actors and so on. And yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into it. So looking at the first sort of image here from the beginning of the trailer, we've got a little message here saying the return draws closer, and this is a cool nod to us fans that we have been waiting for a long time. We haven't really heard anything for ages, I should say. But they're actually sort of basically telling us right from the get-go that this game is progressing and it is coming closer to its completion. And what I like here is we sort of see a top-down view of Aerith in one of the little streets in Midgard, and it's her with a flower resonating. And what's interesting about this scene is it sort of represents obviously her connection to the live stream. I won't say too much more so I don't reveal spoilers, but just looking at her character design, and it absolutely looks fantastic. Similar to a Crisis Core design, but slightly older and looks more mature, and I think that's very fitting of Aerith's character. Now going over here, we can see an image of Cloud coming into contact with some Shinra soldiers, and it looks like from this scene that it's actually showing a transition from a cutscene into the gameplay. I like the way it looks. It reminds me of something somewhat from God of War, Kingdom Hearts 3, sort of the in-game cutscenes. And now going over here, and we can see sort of what appears to be a cinematic, but an in-game cinematic during the Scorpion battle in Midgard at the very beginning of the game. What I mean by that is you can see the command menu here. So it's interesting if there's going to be some sort of like mid-battle sort of sequences that are going on here. There may be an escape sort of sequence, sort of a newly added sequence here, and you're actually fighting through the sequences too. Very interesting to see. We can see sort of health bars down the bottom, Barrett and Cloud, so it's only these two guys in the party at the moment. We can see some attacks there, Punisher, and then attack is with square button, command is circle. We can't see jump at all, so not sure if jump is something that will be implemented or if that will simply just be an intrinsic button like X is to jump. It doesn't obviously need to be shown on the screen. Now going over here, this is an awesome picture of Jessie here, and it was cool to see Jessie. Now Wedge is behind her, and this is sort of really the only time you see Wedge in the actual trailer, which is interesting because there's a lot of backlash against Wedge, his first design and his voice acting in the trailer that was shown several years ago. But it's cool seeing Jessie. We got to hear a brief snippet from her voice actress, and here it's cool. You can see sort of just some in the railway station. You can see some of the railway sort of train destinations going to Sector 8, Sector 5, different parts of Midgard. Now here, this is what's really cool. So it's basically the escape scene at the very beginning, basically when they put the bomb to blow up the Mako reactor, and it's cool because it's the 20-minute countdown similar to here, and even just the style of the writing for the timer looks very reminiscent of the original one in the game. But then you go along here and we can see somewhat of a platforming element to it. So it's Cloud climbing, and this is in the game, the original game itself, but it's cool just to see this sort of real time and not in a fixed camera angle. Now going down here, this is fantastic seeing Barrett actually being controllable in the game. You can see some of the attack damage from the enemies that he's fighting. You can see critical there, so it's showing both standard attack damage and critical attack damage. And it's cool here, so we can just see here again, it's potential they're using backblush. Then we go across here and we can see Cloud doing somewhat more of an aggressive attack. But what we can see on the bottom left hand corner is a shortcut command. So it appears to be activated by pressing L1, and you can use things like potions. So here's got up to 9, so I don't know if there's going to be a battle limit of 9 or 10 potions and for items in the battle. But on the sides here, we can see 2 arrows on both sides of Cloud's name. And it shows here with L2, you can move over to Tifa and control her, and with R2, you can move over to Barrett. So one we're seeing here, this is a scene with Tifa's obviously a party member in the battle. They haven't shown Tifa specifically in this trailer, but what it seems to show here is by pressing L1, you access the shortcuts, and then by pressing L2 or R2 while holding L1, you can transfer or basically swap players. And I've heard from Nomura earlier on that basically swapping players can also be somewhat of a necessity in certain situations where you may not be able to get to a certain enemy and you'll need to swap to someone like Barrett to be able to do aerial damage, for example. So this is great to see, and it's cool. You can see sort of like the red or orange bars on the bottom right hand corner. Excuse me if I got that color wrong because I'm actually colorblind. So what that I'm assuming that is the limit break there filling up. So that is quite interesting to see. Now here we've got a design of Biggs. It's really cool to see Biggs here. Looks similar to the previous design that we saw earlier on in one of the previous trailers, but it looks really cool to see Biggs there. But here, Barrett. I really like the design of Barrett. He's quite detailed. You can see hair in his chest. He still has that bit of like the Mr. T vibe, but again, this is Barrett we're talking about. And his voice actor sort of portrays that a little bit too. It's quite gruff, grunty, but for Barrett, I find that fits his character. Now going on here, just looking at Aerith, this is her encounter, or a scene with her encountering Cloud. This may be the first time she's encountering Cloud. And gosh, her eyes look phenomenal. And then you can just see the scene here. Now looking at Cloud's character design, this is something I really want to point out because it looks fantastic. They have done an excellent job. They're really well designed Cloud. Like they've basically changed a lot of things that you can see. So one, just look at his arms. He does not look sickly anemic anymore. And before he looked very anemic, and in a way I thought that was fitting of his Mako poisoning, but he was so thin that it was almost like it was to the extreme. And here we can see he's quite, you know, he seems to be quite fit, but at the same time he's not too muscly and he's not too thin. And then looking at his hair, this is the thing I really love most about the redesign, because I felt like even just the hair itself in the previous trailers can really shape the face, especially because it was covering parts of his face. But previously it looked quite thick and almost like there were little spiky bits that were basically spiked by a lot of hair gel. And here we can see the hair appears thinner, more naturally parted, instead of like little chunks that coming out here and there. And Aerith, I just really love her design here, especially holding the flowers, her bracelet there. And I like just you can see her interest in Cloud right here and her passing the flower onto him. I think this is a very emotional scene here, or it evokes emotion. And especially looking at the voice actors of these characters, I was blown away. It was just a few small scenes, but there's a lot of intonation in their voice. Cloud's voice, I want to mention, it does not sound like Steve Burton, who is the voice actor of Cloud in previous games, including the Kingdom Hearts games. It sounds like Ray Chase, who voiced Noctis in Final Fantasy XV. We didn't hear enough of it to really be able to tell, but it really suited him, this voice, because Cloud is a young adult here, and this voice sounded younger than Steve Burton's portrayal of Cloud, and I really like that. So it'll be interesting to see if this is Ray Chase's sort of, you know, return to Final Fantasy and another main protagonist. And Aerith, her voice actress sounded like Trina Nishimura. Now she is the voice actress of many beloved characters like Makise Kurusu on Steins Gate and even Mikasa Ackerman on Attack on Titan. It just had that sound of her voice, but again, we're not too sure of that quite yet. Now here we can just see a scene from one of the monsters you fight in the sewers. This is under Don Cornelio's mansion, so this is sort of basically when they get into the outskirts of Midgard. Some big scenes happen so around this part of the game, but you're with Aerith in a party here, and it's great because then we see this awesome, again, the character designs look phenomenal, and we've got Aerith with her long pole here, but then we can actually see a fight with Aerith in it. So we can see Aerith here using some magic. You're controlling Cloud in the battle, and Tifa's also in the party too. But that's great. It's fantastic to see Aerith in combat here. I really like that, and I'm really excited to finally be able to see actually controlling Aerith and controlling Tifa, and sort of the combination that brings using different sort of fighting styles and mechanics, and especially the magic components of Aerith there. Now going over to this little scene here with Cloud in Midgard, and it's a scene of Cloud actually moving and blocking the enemy shots. So blocking is obviously a part of the game. Now we can't see block in the command menu below, so maybe things like jump and block, they're intrinsic. Maybe circle is block, maybe X is jump, things like that, or it could also be a certain, you know, holding a certain trigger button, but it's great to see that. So it seems to suggest that there's going to be quite some strategy involved. We've seen some of the attacks in the trailer, quite heavy hitting attacks, slower, so it may require dodging at certain moments. And that's the thing, if we're seeing block here, then maybe while actually running and pressing the block button, it will be a dodge roll button instead. So it's great to sort of see, you know, some things that sort of allude to some of these other mechanics, similar to Kingdom Hearts in a way. And then here we can see what appears to be Cloud using a limit break, and we can just see here what I presume to be the limit break gauge is completely empty, so that may have emptied out because he's just used one of the limit breaks here. And then again, we're going on to Cloud and Barrett. This is when they're coming up to the battle with the Scorpion. great there. We can see the bomb that is about to detonate on the Maker reactor. And then we see the scene, a scene between Cloud and Sephiroth. Now I really can't work out where this scene fits into the game. It seems to be on a road because you can see some pavement marks there. But at the same time, I can't really recall many scenes with Cloud and Sephiroth earlier in the game at least. Especially the way Sephiroth is talking to Cloud is with some familiarity and sort of alluding to, you know, sort of Sephiroth's vision and what he intends to do with the planet. And again, so maybe this could be somewhat sort of like within Cloud's mind. It could be a trigger event for the Genova reunion. I won't say many more details, so I just don't go into spoiler territory for people who are new to this game. But regardless, this could be showing signs of the new things that are coming to this game. New additions, new story. And I'm really excited for that, especially for Aerith 2 getting more story with her in it. And then again, we're seeing here, Cloud looks very fatigued in this scene. It has got fire around, so it is very hot and burning, but he looks angry too. So there is some familiarity there between Cloud and Sephiroth. And then lastly, we get the notification that more to come in June. Now this is fantastic for several reasons. One, we've got the Final Fantasy VII Orchestra coming not long before E3. And then we've got E3. So obviously, regardless, there has got to be more information coming then. And given this was identified as a teaser trailer, this is suggesting that we are going to be getting more of the chunky and meaty stuff in June. And then lastly, I want to finish off by saying that we've got the PlayStation 4 logo here. So again, this is coming to PlayStation 4. It may very well be a cross-platform game, but if it is coming maybe by the end of this year or beginning of next year, it may again come out first on PlayStation 4, and later on when the PS5 comes out, then it will get a re-release on the PlayStation 5, enhanced and all. But regardless, very excited for this. This is something we've been waiting a long time for, and I'm really excited to learn more about it. Before I go, I do just want to touch upon something with Sephiroth, and that is the voice acting for him. Now, when I was listening to his sentence, I couldn't work out whether that was his previous voice, but when he mentions Cloud, the last word he says, it definitely sounds like George Newburn's voice acting for Sephiroth in previous iterations of the Final Fantasy series, not the Kingdom Hearts series where he was voiced by a different voice actor. But again, it's really hard to sort of work out who the voice actors are for these characters. But I'm really excited because they sound great from just what little we've heard, and it's good to see the English voice acting in this trailer. So anyways, I'll leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts below on some of the new additions that we've seen in this trailer, gameplay, story, again, how the characters look, the designs, even just a lot of things with the voice acting. Yeah, anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll enjoy. Hope you're all very excited to learn more about this game in June and are happy to wait it out until we get it. I am, because I think the longer we wait, the better this game will be. At least hopefully, touch wood. But yeah, anyways, thank you so much for watching. Hope you'll enjoy it, and until next video, stay spot on.